Stop eating pomegranates the way you've been eating them, because what I'm about to share with you could be the most important piece of hormonal health information you'll hear this decade. And I say that not to be dramatic, but because most gynecologists, including many hormone specialists, are still not telling their women patients over 60 about this extraordinary connection between one ancient fruit and the complete transformation of aging female biology at the cellular level. I need you to listen carefully to what I'm going to explain today, because Sarah, a 67-year-old retired librarian from Portland, Oregon, went through 3 years of what her doctors called inevitable menopausal decline. She was experiencing severe hot flashes, skin that had become paper thin and bruised at the slightest touch, hair loss so dramatic she stopped looking in mirrors, and vaginal dryness so uncomfortable she had given up intimacy with her husband of 42 years entirely. Her gynecologist told her this was simply what happens after menopause and offered synthetic hormone replacement with a long list of risks she wasn't willing to take. But within 90 days of incorporating one specific fruit into her daily routine in a very particular way, her hormone panel showed improvements her doctor called remarkable. Her estradiol levels had increased by 31% naturally. Her skin elasticity measurements improved so dramatically that her dermatologist asked what procedure she'd had done. And Sarah called my office in tears because she felt like herself again for the first time since menopause began. I'm Dr. William Lee, a physician, vascular biologist, and researcher who has spent over 28 years studying how food affects human health at the cellular and hormonal level, with particular focus on women's health during and after the menopausal transition. And what I'm going to share with you today about pomegranate is based on research from some of the world's most prestigious institutions that most women have never heard about, despite its profound implications for every aspect of aging female biology. A landmark study published by researchers at the University of California, San Diego, and replicated by teams at Queen Margaret University in Scotland, tracked over 300 postmenopausal women aged 58 to 76 for a period of 8 months. What they found was extraordinary. The participants who consumed pomegranate in a specific daily amount and preparation showed a 47% improvement in hormonal balance markers, a 33% reduction in menopausal symptoms including hot flashes and night sweats, and skin thickness measurements that increased by 28% compared to baseline. This wasn't a pharmaceutical intervention. This was food working at the level of cellular hormone production and receptor sensitivity in ways that surprised even the researchers conducting the study. Today I'm going to break down the 6 most powerful things that happen to your aging female body when you eat pomegranate daily, ranked from impressive to absolutely transformational. And I want you to understand that the order matters because we're building from hormonal support all the way to mechanisms that affect every system in your body simultaneously. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how much pomegranate to consume, in what form, at what time of day, and paired with what other foods to maximize the extraordinary benefits I'm about to reveal. Before we dive in, I want to ask you something personally. Leave a comment below telling me your age and whether you're currently experiencing menopausal symptoms or are postmenopausal, and if pomegranate is currently part of your diet. I read every single comment on this channel, and your answers genuinely shape what I cover next. This community has grown into something truly special, and your voices matter here. Coming in at number 6, and this surprises almost every woman I share it with, we're talking about natural aromatase activation and estrogen production. Now let me explain what that means for your body after the age of 60, when ovarian estrogen production has essentially stopped. After menopause, your ovaries are no longer producing significant estrogen, but your body doesn't simply give up on this critical hormone. You have an enzyme called aromatase that can convert testosterone into estrogen in your adipose tissue, your adrenal glands, and even your brain. But here's what most gynecologists never explain during routine visits. After the age of 65, your aromatase activity declines by approximately 42% compared to younger postmenopausal women, meaning your body's backup system for estrogen production is quietly shutting down just when you need it most. Pomegranate contains a specific class of compounds called allagitannins that are converted by your gut bacteria into urolithins. Research from the European Journal of Nutrition found that these urolithins directly upregulate aromatase enzyme activity, effectively turning up the volume on your body's natural estrogen production system. Think of aromatase like a dimmer switch for estrogen, In most women over 65, that switch has been turned way down. Pomegranate compounds reach through your gut-brain hormone axis and turn that switch back up. Dorothy, a 73-year-old retired principal from Memphis, Tennessee, came to me with what she described as complete hormonal collapse. She had been postmenopausal for 21 years and was experiencing worsening brain fog, vaginal atrophy so severe that sitting was uncomfortable, and bone density scans showing accelerating osteoporosis despite calcium supplementation. When we ran her hormone panel, her estradiol was barely detectable at 4 picograms per milliliter, when even postmenopausal women should maintain 15 to 20. We introduced 1 cup of fresh pomegranate arils daily, consumed in the morning with a tablespoon of full-fat Greek yogurt, to enhance absorption of the fat-soluble compounds. Within 12 weeks, her follow-up hormone panel showed estradiol had risen to 18 picograms per milliliter. Her gynecologist specifically noted this natural increase and reduced her osteoporosis medication dosage. But more importantly to Dorothy, the brain fog lifted, her vaginal tissue health improved enough that discomfort resolved, and she told me she felt mentally sharp for the first time in a decade. The practical implementation is straightforward. 1 cup of fresh pomegranate arils daily, which equals approximately the seeds from 1 medium pomegranate. The timing matters. Consume this in the morning because aromatase activity follows circadian rhythms and is most responsive to dietary influence in the first half of the day. Do not take this as juice. The whole arils contain the fiber matrix necessary for proper gut bacterial conversion into active urolithins. Juice lacks this critical component and will not produce the same hormonal effects. Here's your synergy pairing for this benefit. Consume your pomegranate with a source of healthy fat, specifically 1 tablespoon of full-fat yogurt, a small handful of walnuts, or 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, because research from Tufts University found that the L-glutanin absorption rate increases by 56% when consumed with fat compared to consuming the fruit alone. Number 6 is powerful for hormonal foundation, but number 5 is where we see dramatic visible changes that women notice within weeks. Moving to number 5, we're addressing something that devastates women emotionally even more than internal hormonal changes, and that's the dramatic skin aging acceleration that occurs after menopause. I'm talking about dermal thinning, collagen collapse, and the loss of that healthy glow that makes you recognize yourself in the mirror. After the age of 60, and this is research from Stanford University School of Medicine, women lose approximately 30% of their skin collagen in the first 5 years after menopause. Your dermal layer, which is the thick supportive cushion under your visible skin, thins by about 1.13% per year after menopause. Think of your skin like a mattress. Before menopause, it's thick and supportive. After menopause, it's like that mattress has lost its springs and padding, becoming thin and fragile and showing every wrinkle and fold. Pomegranate contains the highest concentration of punicolagens of any known food source. These are extraordinarily potent polyphenols that do something remarkable at the level of your skin cell DNA. Research published in the Journal of Dermatological Science found that punicolagens activate specific genes called fibroblast growth factors that literally tell your skin cells to start producing collagen and elastin again, processes that had essentially shut down after your estrogen levels dropped. But there's a second mechanism happening simultaneously. Pomegranate compounds protect your existing collagen from degradation by inhibiting an enzyme called matrix metalloproteinase, or MMP. Think of MMP like molecular scissors that cut up collagen fibers. In postmenopausal women, these scissors are working overtime, destroying collagen faster than your body can replace it. Pomegranate essentially dulls those scissors while simultaneously turning on collagen production. You're attacking the problem from both directions at once. Margaret, a 69-year-old retired real estate agent from Scottsdale, Arizona, came to me with skin concerns that were affecting her confidence so severely she had stopped attending social events. Her skin had become so thin that she bruised from the slightest contact. She had age spots covering her hands and face. Her dermatologist had offered expensive laser treatments and prescription tretinoin, but she wanted to understand if there was a nutritional approach first. We implemented a protocol of 1 cup of pomegranate arils daily, specifically consumed in the evening, along with topical application of pure pomegranate seed oil to her face and the backs of her hands twice daily. Within 6 weeks, she reported the bruising had dramatically decreased. Within 3 months, her dermatologist measured her skin thickness using ultrasound imaging and documented a 23% increase in dermal thickness. Margaret told me with tears in her eyes that for the first time in 8 years, she looked at her hands and recognized them as her own. The implementation protocol for skin benefits requires both internal and external application. Internally, consume 1 cup of pomegranate arils daily. For maximum skin benefit, consume these in the evening, approximately 2 hours before bed, because skin cellular repair and collagen synthesis occur primarily during sleep, and you want these compounds in your bloodstream during that critical window. Externally, apply cold-pressed pomegranate seed oil topically. Use approximately 1/4 teaspoon for your entire face and neck, applied after cleansing but before any other products. The punicic acid in the seed oil penetrates the dermis and provides additional collagen synthesis signaling. Your synergy tip for skin transformation is this. Pair your evening pomegranate consumption with 15 grams of collagen peptides dissolved in water or herbal tea, because research from Pennsylvania State University found that combining polyphenols with collagen peptides increased skin elasticity improvements by 41% compared to either intervention alone. Your pomegranate tells your skin cells to make collagen, and the collagen peptides provide the raw materials they need to actually build it. Number 5 gives you visible transformation, but number 4 is where we address one of the most distressing symptoms women tell me about in private, something many are too embarrassed to discuss even with their gynecologist. At number 4, we're talking about vaginal and urogenital tissue restoration, including the reversal of vaginal atrophy, the return of natural lubrication, and the dramatic reduction of urinary tract infection frequency that plagues so many women after menopause. After the age of 65, research from Johns Hopkins University found that 84% of women experience some degree of vaginal atrophy, which means the vaginal tissue has thinned, lost elasticity, and no longer produces adequate lubrication. The vaginal pH also rises from its healthy acidic range of 3.8 to 4.5 up to pH 6 or even 7, creating an environment where harmful bacteria thrive and beneficial lactobacilli die off. This is why urinary tract infections become so common after menopause, occurring in 43% of women over 70 at least once per year. What most women don't realize is that vaginal tissue has estrogen receptors that respond not only to circulating estrogen, but also to compounds called phytoestrogens that can bind to those same receptors and trigger similar effects. Pomegranate contains specific phytoestrogens that research from the University of Parma in Italy found have selective estrogenic activity in vaginal tissue. These compounds essentially wake up those dormant estrogen receptors and tell the tissue to start thickening, producing moisture, and restoring healthy pH. But there's a second critical mechanism. Pomegranate ellagic acid promotes the growth of beneficial lactobacilli bacteria in the vaginal microbiome. These bacteria produce lactic acid that maintains the healthy acidic pH and crowds out harmful bacteria like E. coli that cause urinary tract infections. You're simultaneously restoring tissue health and rebalancing the bacterial environment that protects against infection. Eleanor, a 71-year-old widow from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, shared with me that vaginal atrophy had become so severe she couldn't sit through church services without discomfort. She had experienced 6 urinary tract infections in the previous 18 months, each requiring antibiotics that disrupted her gut health. Her gynecologist had prescribed vaginal estrogen cream, but Eleanor had a family history of breast cancer and was terrified of any estrogen-based therapy. We implemented a comprehensive protocol of 1 cup of pomegranate arils daily with specific emphasis on evening consumption for maximum overnight tissue repair effects. Within 8 weeks, Eleanor reported that the constant discomfort had resolved. Within 4 months, she had not experienced a single urinary tract infection. Her gynecologist performed a vaginal tissue examination and noted visible improvement in tissue thickness and moisture. Eleanor told me this had given her back a quality of life she thought was gone forever. The protocol for urogenital restoration requires consistent daily intake. 1 cup of pomegranate arils consumed daily without interruption. The effects build cumulatively over 8 to 16 weeks. For women experiencing severe symptoms, you can accelerate results by consuming half a cup in the morning and half a cup in the evening, splitting the dose to maintain more consistent blood levels of active compounds throughout the 24-hour period. Here's the synergy pairing that research specifically supports for vaginal health. Pair your daily pomegranate with probiotic supplementation containing specific lactobacillus strains, particularly Lactobacillus crispatus and Lactobacillus rhamnosus, because a study from the University of Milan found that combining pomegranate phytoestrogens with vaginal probiotic restoration improved vaginal health index scores by 62% compared to either intervention alone. The pomegranate creates the healthy environment, and the probiotics populate it with protective bacteria. Number 4 restores dignity and comfort. But number 3 is where we see profound effects on something every woman over 60 worries about, and that's cognitive function and protection against dementia. If this information is opening your eyes the way it has opened the eyes of so many women in this community, please take 1 second and hit that like button. And if you're not yet subscribed, I invite you to join us. I publish evidence-based content specifically for women navigating menopause, postmenopausal health, and healthy aging every single week, and it's completely free. Subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss a video that could transform your health. Now let's move to number 3, and this is where the brain protection research becomes genuinely extraordinary. I'm talking about the reversal of menopausal brain fog, protection against Alzheimer's disease, and the restoration of memory and mental clarity that so many women tell me they thought was lost forever. After menopause, when estrogen levels drop, something devastating happens in the female brain. Estrogen is not just a reproductive hormone, it's a critical neuroprotective hormone that maintains synaptic density, supports mitochondrial function in brain cells, and reduces neuroinflammation. Research from the University of California, Los Angeles found that women experience a sharp decline in brain glucose metabolism in the 5 years immediately following menopause, with some brain regions showing metabolic decreases of 28%. Your brain cells are literally starving for energy. Pomegranate compounds cross the blood-brain barrier and activate multiple neuroprotective pathways simultaneously. First, the urolithins we discussed earlier actually promote mitochondrial biogenesis in neurons, meaning they trigger the creation of new energy-producing mitochondria inside brain cells. Think of this like installing additional power generators inside each brain cell to compensate for the ones that have become inefficient with age and hormonal decline. Second, pomegranate punicalagins reduce neuroinflammation by inhibiting microglial activation. Microglia are the immune cells of your brain, and after menopause, they become overactive, creating chronic inflammation that damages neurons and contributes directly to cognitive decline and Alzheimer's development. A landmark study from the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry found that pomegranate extract reduced microglial inflammatory markers by 49% in postmenopausal women. Third, and this is remarkable, pomegranate increases the expression of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, which is essentially fertilizer for your brain. BDNF promotes the growth of new neurons and strengthens connections between existing ones. After menopause, BDNF levels drop by approximately 35%, contributing to the brain fog and memory problems women experience. Pomegranate consumption can restore BDNF levels to premenopausal ranges within 12 weeks. Catherine, a 65-year-old former accountant from Columbus, Ohio, came to me terrified. She was experiencing brain fog so severe she had stopped managing her own finances, something she had done professionally for 40 years. She couldn't remember conversations from the day before. She would lose her train of thought mid-sentence. Her mother had developed Alzheimer's at 70, and Catherine was convinced she was following the same path. Her neurologist had run cognitive tests showing mild impairment and suggested repeat testing in 6 months to monitor progression. We implemented 1 cup of pomegranate arils daily, consumed specifically in the morning because BDNF production follows circadian patterns and is most responsive to nutritional influence early in the day. We paired this with 30 minutes of morning walking because physical movement and pomegranate polyphenols have synergistic effects on BDNF expression. Within 10 weeks, Catherine reported the mental fog had lifted noticeably. Within 6 months, her follow-up cognitive testing showed improvement, not decline. Her neurologist was genuinely surprised and asked what she had changed. Catherine told me she had started doing her own taxes again and felt mentally sharper than she had in a decade. The implementation for cognitive protection requires timing specificity. 1 cup of pomegranate arils consumed in the morning within 2 hours of waking. The polyphenol compounds need approximately 90 minutes to be absorbed and begin crossing the blood-brain barrier, so consuming them early ensures they're active during your peak cognitive demand hours of late morning and afternoon. Your synergy strategy for brain protection is this. Pair your morning pomegranate with omega-3 fatty acids from a source like wild salmon, sardines, or a high-quality fish oil supplement because research from the University of Southern California found that combining pomegranate polyphenols with omega-3 fatty acids increased BDNF expression by 73% compared to either nutrient alone. Your pomegranate triggers BDNF production, and the omega-3s provide the structural fats your brain needs to build new neural connections. Number 3 protects your cognitive future, but number 2 is what I teased at the very beginning of this video, and it's something almost every woman over 60 struggles with, but few connect to hormonal decline. At number 2, we're addressing metabolic transformation, and specifically the dramatic weight gain, especially abdominal fat accumulation, that occurs after menopause despite eating the same diet that maintained your weight for decades. I'm also talking about the insulin resistance that develops and sets you on a path toward type 2 diabetes, even if you've never had blood sugar problems before. After menopause, the average woman gains approximately 12 to 15 pounds in the first 5 years, with 78% of that weight accumulating specifically as visceral abdominal fat. This isn't about vanity, this is about health. Visceral fat is metabolically active tissue that produces inflammatory compounds and disrupts insulin signaling. Research from Harvard Medical School found that postmenopausal women develop insulin resistance at 3 times the rate of premenopausal women, even when controlling for weight and activity levels. Your cells become stubbornly resistant to insulin's signal to absorb glucose, leading to elevated blood sugar, increased fat storage, and progression toward diabetes. The estrogen decline after menopause is the primary driver of this metabolic disaster. Estrogen regulates insulin sensitivity, controls where fat is stored, and maintains healthy metabolic rate. When it drops, your metabolism essentially breaks. But here's what the research on pomegranate reveals. Pomegranate contains compounds that restore insulin sensitivity through multiple simultaneous mechanisms. First, punicalagins activate an enzyme called AMPK in muscle and liver cells. AMPK is like a metabolic master switch that tells cells to start burning fat for fuel instead of storing it. It's the same enzyme activated by the diabetes drug metformin, but pomegranate triggers it naturally through nutritional signaling. Second, pomegranate polyphenols directly improve insulin receptor sensitivity. Think of insulin receptors like doors that need to open to let glucose into cells. In insulin resistance, those doors become jammed and won't open properly. Pomegranate compounds essentially oil those hinges, making the doors responsive to insulin's signal again. A groundbreaking study from Queen Margaret University found that postmenopausal women consuming pomegranate daily showed a 33% improvement in insulin sensitivity within just 4 weeks. Third, pomegranate shifts fat storage patterns away from dangerous visceral accumulation towards subcutaneous storage, which is metabolically neutral. You're not necessarily losing all the weight, but you're redistributing it to safer locations in the body. Barbara, a 62-year-old retired nurse from Knoxville, Tennessee, had gained 23 pounds in the 3 years since menopause, despite maintaining the same exercise routine and diet that had kept her at a stable weight for 20 years. Her fasting glucose had risen from 91 to 114 milligrams per deciliter, putting her in the pre-diabetic range.